All right, a very good morning to you. A very busy programme for you coming up across the next 2.5 hours or so. Graham Hunter's going to join us at 8 o'clock. James Tracy's going to look forward to a full Croke Park on Saturday evening at 8:25. Hayley Nolan, Kildare footballer, doing well at the moment. Just qualified for the WSL with Crystal Palace. And the power rankings, 9:10. Any suggestions for the power rankings? You want to get them in early? Oh, and are you worried?
About what now?
The power rankings, they've gone awry recently, it's fair to say.
The return of the power rankings.
The return of the power rankings. The much demanded, backed by public demand.
Is their official title. Yeah, we'll see what the public say. Let them be judge and jury of the maths that have gone into this.
Kathleen, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So, do you want to start with what was Jude Bellingham whispering in the ear darkly of Harry Kane before?
You'll never win a title.
Not a jot. Well, that would have worked. That would have worked, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'd have more admiration for him if that's what he did say to his England teammate and captain.
So, if anybody hasn't seen this, Harry Kane's about to take a penalty. A big moment in the game. Bayern are dominant. This could be the breaking of the dam. And Jude Bellingham decides, I don't care that we're international teammates. I don't care that you're my captain. I'm the real leader of the team. Everybody knows that. And he walks up to him and says something. Neuer always dives. Just ping it down the middle. Is that it?
I love
it wouldn't have been Neuer. It would have been the other. Sorry, that would have been stupid.
I love the British media speculation about it this morning because they're all just kind of tersely laughing, being like, ha ha ha, isn't this cute? The two of them having a little tete-a-tete in the middle of a game, and you can tell they're all actually sweating over the Euros and that this is going to turn into something way bigger than it actually is.
And they got their moment because it was obviously billed as Kane versus Bellingham, as we were discussing quite a lot yesterday. And it didn't quite materialise that way in terms of the game itself. From open play, obviously Kane gets on the score sheet, but Bellingham, I would say, for another European night was relatively ineffective by his high standards. I expect better things from him in the second half, and Ancelotti was talking about it afterwards, talked about the type of game that suits Bellingham and ones that don't, and why you'd hook a player of his supreme talent off after around an hour or whatever it was. So we never actually got that narrative, and we didn't certainly get Bellingham in full flow, but we did get this moment. And yeah, it'll be interesting to know what he did say to Harry Kane. But Harry Kane's pretty unerring from those positions. You'd have to say something pretty significant to put his radar off a little bit.
Guillaume Balaga is speculating, and I don't know if he knows this for a fact or if it's pure speculation. Jude to Harry, Bellingham to Kane. You going to kick it to the left? Harry didn't even hear it. Harry asked Jude after the game in the Real Madrid changing rooms, what did you say? Jude laughed as he just realised Harry had not heard him.
Right, well, that's that sorted. The big winner from last night, I'm sure you'll have seen this, was Daniel Sturridge. Did you see this? He tweeted at 7:59 p.m, a minute before kickoff. Sané will be a big problem tonight. Goal for him and a pen for Kane. Called it.
Whoa.
On the button.
Fair play.
Mystic Daniel. And my second favourite piece of social media from last night. It's a tradition unlike any other, really. And to be honest with you, I thought it was a tradition that was dead. But it reared its head once again in dramatic fashion last night. And the tradition is the Richard Jolly tweet that comes up around the business end of the Champions League times. And last night it was 87 minutes into the game, and Joselu comes onto the pitch, and Richard Jolly was ready. Joselu's appearance for Real Madrid tonight means that the 2015-16 Stoke squad had footballers who played in the Champions League semi-finals in 2004, 2005, 2007, 08, 09, 2010, 2011, 2013, 2019 and 2014. That Stoke squad is still going. It's still churning out the Champions League business end performers. 2025, wouldn't write it off just yet.
It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
It's astonishing. It's like my favourite statistic. And yeah, fair play to Joselu to keep that going last night. 2-2 draw. Are we saying that Real Madrid are going to assert their dominance in the return leg? I mean, Real Madrid obviously a far superior team, I would presume you would think, over Bayern Munich.
I had obviously watched more of the Real Madrid quarter-final than the Bayern Munich one. I think you guys probably watched more of the Bayern Munich Arsenal
good team.
one.
Very, very good team.
Well, it looked like Arsenal should have gone through over the two legs.
Which shows, how good Arsenal are, I guess.
And it seems as if Bayern Munich have improved from then.
No.
Did they not play better last night than they did against Arsenal over the two legs?
In the second leg against Arsenal, they played very... No, and there were patches in the first leg. I think Bayern Munich's improvement began when they were like, okay, things are getting real here. We're not winning the Bundesliga. We're now up against good opposition in the Champions League. And that was the beginning of their sort of ascent. Like, we were just saying off air, talking about Leroy Sané. He hasn't played in the Bundesliga since the end of March, but he's been excellent in these 3 games. The star of the show against Arsenal was Konrad Leimer, who was brilliant again last night. And he's only played 90 minutes 6 times in 2024 for Bayern, and half of those have been in the Champions League, twice against Arsenal and last night. So there is a different feel to Bayern in these European nights. They're just better. They have a coach who's a strange character, and his teams often personify the strangeness of his character with regards to showing up brilliantly in European competition and being terrible domestically. It's happened twice now in his career in pretty stunning fashion. Now, it was a draw last night. They could still get knocked out in the next round. The Tuchel story is very much up for debate, as opposed to this being some sort of injustice that he's getting sacked in the morning, essentially, and that Ralf Rangnick is going to take his job. But I think it is probably up for more discussion now than it was a month ago about how successful or otherwise he can be with the squad, or has been with the squad. Because if you win the Champions League with this squad from the base that you were at 2 or 3 months ago, when you looked like a poor imitation of Bayern Munich, I think that's a pretty successful season.
Yeah, I mean, you win the Champions League, it's a successful season. I will grant you that. I hope we're going to get such other pearls of wisdom during the...
Could also just make sense for Tuchel as well, though, if he wins Champions League, washes hands of Bayern, washes hands of the...
Yeah, and then go where? Like, I did not think that he was a potential candidate for the Man United job. But if you're shiny new big Sir Jim with your Canyonero car, like, you're like, oh, get me that guy, aren't you?
There is, like, I'm a big, like, Tuchel sympathiser, but I even think that would just contribute to the chaos more.
It'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
It would be so enjoyable, don't get me wrong, but in terms of it being a smart move for Manchester United,
Seems like totally the wrong fit.
It does.
Yeah. Now, the wrong fit in his short term, but he would burn out everybody really quickly, which is what you want, right? Except that it's very expensive.
That's the thing, and also impossible. So you burn out all these players, and it's like, got 9 years left of my deal, and I'm earning 300 grand a week. I'm going nowhere, Thomas.
We should get into the papers, I think, because there are some aspects to that. I'm going to come back to those two in just a minute. Ulster says, no.
Very good.
No. This is because the draw, football heavyweights could be landed in obligatory pool of death. It's not really a pool of death. It's more a pool of, like, we'll all survive, but some of us will be wounded.
I mean, careful now, in case there are any Westmeath ears listening this morning. And I would say to any Westmeath people out there, I would say cover your ears when you're listening to previews of these matches over the next few months, because the disrespect that is going to be thrown out about Westmeath with regards to that group in particular is going to be off the charts.
So last year, Westmeath performed very well in the group, caused trouble in 2 out of the 3 games. And they could do the same this year, but you would still expect, on the basis of league positioning and form, bearing in mind Westmeath could have gone much deeper in the championship than they did, you would expect Westmeath to finish bottom of their group. That's just that's the way, and that's how it will pan out in your little power rankings later on. Won't it?
So patronising. Little power rankings.
How are we wrong about this?
I'm not. I'm just.
So let's say Donegal beat Armagh. Donegal are currently favourites.
Disrespect.
It's going to be the Connacht winners. Let's say Mayo beat Galway, right? So it's Mayo, Donegal, Derry, and Westmeath. Derry are like, we'll have a game at home, we'll have a game neutral, we'll have a game away, grand. They're not going out. But one of them is going to be in the wildcard weekend, and then they'll have to play the week after that. And that's the problem. It's the injury toll starts to creep in.
There's a big prize to finishing top of your group.
Yeah, there is. Yes, he can win the Battle of the England Stars and keeps his cool from the spot. Yes, he can. It's Harry Kane. That's who they're talking about there, just in case you were wondering. Forest deserved a penalty. Yes, they did. Forest's wild conspiracy theories were correct. Even Howard Webb admits that they got ridden. Vinicius puts Kane celebrations on hold. Open features 623-yard hole. And NBC, we want matches in the US. How do we feel about potential Premier League matches in the US on the opening day of the season?
Not a fan, personally. I think league should stay in the country that they are originally in. Like, what? I get it from a marketing point of view, but beyond that, how is that going to be any help to any of the players? How is it going to be any help to any of the clubs?
Well, the clubs will benefit massively from money. Money. And also the players, like this week, the PFA were out saying, no salary cap, no salary cap, no salary cap. If you don't want a salary cap, you got to go and play in America to collect the $2 billion annually that NBC are paying.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, is it a sense of repaying the favour that the American sports leagues have been so generous to plant their games in Europe at certain times during their regular seasons? Is it inevitable that the opposite will happen? I think
they don't need the money as well. They don't need the...
No, they definitely don't need to do it. I think the backlash would be much greater on this side of the water than it would be on the other side of the water.
Capitalism doesn't work from a need for rich people to get richer. It works because they want it.
Yeah.
That's the... They don't need the money. They want the money. And also Everton would say, actually, hang on, we're putting our hands up at the back here. We need the money.
But I think there would be far more disgust in England about a Premier League game happening in New York, for example, than there would be in New York about a New York Giants game happening in London. And maybe that's just to do with the nature of American sports, where your team can leave you in the middle of the night, basically, and run away with everything. Whereas there's a greater sense of blind loyalty.
You know,
attached to
English football fans will be up in arms about this.
But are they not right to be up in arms about it?
I don't know. Are they? Like, the league has been totally globalised. It's no longer the best. That piece Jonathan Wilson wrote last week, where Ange was defending the plastic football fans who come, the tourists. Like, the reason that Spurs have their big new stadium, the reason that Newcastle are putting another 8,000 seats on the stadium is because they want tourists to come and see this incredible attraction. And one of the parts of that is that, like, there's a bit of give and take.
But I don't think there is. Like, fans are already being treated badly when it comes to games being changed last minute because it suits TV slots or whatever. If you're a loyal, whatever, Everton fan or a Nottingham Forest fan or whoever it is, and you've gone to, like, every single game, or you're a season ticket holder, and all of a sudden a game is being held thousands of miles away, it's going to cost thousands of pounds to get there. I think that's really unfair on those like, you have a certain loyalty to
you do,
because it could be your hometown team and you expect them to be playing in your hometown. You may have to travel to the north of England or the south of England, but
and so this game in America, which is going to pay for the right back or for the entire academy for the whole year, I think this swings and roundabouts. And, like, ultimately football is a global sport, and you do have 18 other home games. And I don't know, are you showing up for the League Cup games?
A lot of fans would, though.
But and also I think as well that if you're a big, I don't know, Manchester United fan based in the United States, part of the appeal to being attached to this club as a supporter is Old Trafford, and is the fact that this is a club that's based in Manchester. It's not on your doorstep. That's the whole point. There's, like, believe it or not, maybe it's even exotic to people in the United States, the way that your little San Francisco 49ers are exotic to you, and you stay up past your bedtime and you watch the NFL on a Sunday night. And, like, I mean, would you... I'm sure that you would obviously fly to Wembley if they were playing there, and you fly to London.
Great. I'd be delighted. So when the Pittsburgh Steelers come to Croke Park, you'd be like, no, damn with this type of thing. What about the poor people of Pittsburgh?
But I think Owen's right in that it's a very different, like, setup.
Our sport matters more.
Yes,
we're exceptional.
No, it's not that. It's just the culture that's derived around it.
Yeah, look, fan culture is different in football. I totally understand that. I know why the local fans are going to be pissed off, but at the same time, like, this is not the...
But are you not giving in to the commercialisation and the capitalism of it all, then?
Do you not feel like the horse maybe bolted in 1992?
No, I know, but, like, you can always stop as well. You don't have to go all the way.
Yeah, of course you can. There are degrees to it.
And you're saying, $1 million a week wages, no problems. But once you try and take a game and move it from one venue to another venue...
No, of course I have problems with that, but I'm also saying...
No, it's like too late.
Well, no, that's not the point. Here's the thing. This is basically already happening. I was at MetLife Stadium last year, paid $200 and something for Arsenal versus Manchester United, one of the worst investments of my entire life. But there are like 100,000 people in that stadium who have also made that investment. These clubs are getting extremely rich off the globalization that already exists of their sport. Half a dozen games in the United States, Australia, in the Far East, wherever it may be. And
meaningless friendlies. Where
these meaningless friendlies.
The C team shows up.
I vividly remember.
That was Dublin, sorry.
Yeah, the strength of the teams in New York that time. So this is already happening. Now it's a question of, do you want to make it more competitive? And I actually think the bottom line is pretty handsome in the current setup, which is pre-season being based in the US essentially.
Okay. I'm just saying it could get more handsome.
Yeah, it probably can't, to be fair, but
a few fillers and whatever the rest. Fresh out over doping investigators' independence. This is a story from Matt Lawton, which is a good story, and it might be his own. So I'm kind of surprised that the Times didn't put it on the back of the paper. But basically, WADA have appointed an independent investigator to examine the whole how the 23 Chinese swimmers who tested positive were then it's grand, don't worry about it. It was food contamination. But the independent dude who's going to be examining WADA's processes used to work very closely with the guy at WADA who made the decision. It's like, it's fine. We'll be like the Harlequins player refereeing Harlequins. It's totally all above board because, we're middle class. We can make decisions against our own type. It's totally fine. Anyway, interesting story in the Mirror. Adam Faith, Hoops hero Hartson, says Gaffer Rodgers must be backed with cold hard cash, and some of it must be spent on Irish strikers. So the price for Adam Eade has gone up. Celtic did not do a deal which included an option to buy when they took Adam Eade on loan. And John Hartson is saying, sign him. He's really good. If it's 4 or 5 million quid, that's great bit of business. It would be great for Adam Eade to move full-time to Celtic next season. Are we all in agreement with that?
Absolutely. The question is, what is he worth? Like, Transfermarkt has him down as €2.8 million, which is probably underestimating what would be required if he's talking about 4 or 5 million pounds.
They might sell him for that. If Eade digs his heels in and says, look, I'm not coming back. Screw you, Norwich. Norwich want to get rid of him anyway.
Yeah, but he's under contract until 2028.
It's difficult to dig your heels in.
Yeah, and maybe does a promotion actually help him when Norwich have a bit of money to spend? Like, you can definitely make a case that in the Championship he would have part to play for Norwich. And part of the reason why they sent him out on loan was for him to rack up a bit of form and for him to score a few goals, and he's done that. And Norwich obviously are going to be in a Championship playoff, so this is probably one of those that's on ice until we see the outcome of that and whether or not they actually do get promotion.
Maybe if they were to get promoted, they would want him in the squad. Tab of the morning to you, Gorgie Burgess.
Top of the morning to you.
Who's singing there?
Cameron, surely, is it?
Cam has tractor boys on the brink, so Cameron Burgess scored a scruffy winner to take Ipswich within a point of the Prem last night, breaking the hearts of all the Leeds fans. Ironically, that was Cameron singing. He was a Leeds fan. But, this is one that Colm in particular would appreciate because he has the tendency to shorten words like adorable to adorbs and gorgeous to gorge. Gorgie Burgess. You don't like it?
I'm going to be completely honest here. I don't get it. Do you get it?
No.
Oh, wow. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle. Do you get that?
I get that.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Have you?
It's The Snapper.
Have you heard of a little-known Irish movie called The Snapper?
Yeah. No, it's okay.
Hang on.
I just had a bit of a moment.
Uh-oh. I have not.
I just had a bit of a moment.
Have you seen The Snapper?
Yes.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
I have watched The Snapper, to be fair, which is probably
I
makes
fear
the
Dara is going to throw me out of the studio very soon. No.
Any of the Barrytown trilogy?
No.
Not The Commitments, or?
No, I've seen The Commitments, but I've never.
All right. Well, the books are better than the movies, and the movies are great. Do you know the story of The Snapper?
No.
There's a bad man who does bad things, and a baby is the result of it. During the Italia 90 World Cup, Colm Meaney, Chip Van, Georgie Burgess is his name.
The father of the baby?
Yeah. I mean, the rapist. Let's not fucking, pardon me, dress this up. But, at the time, it was... but yeah, His name is Georgie Burgess. Anyway,
So sometimes like you can watch something and just forget about it.
no, you can't. You can't forget. Like he's one of the
The worst.
the parade of villains in Irish pop culture.
Yeah, like I mean, around your time, obviously, but when you're relitigating pop culture for yourself,
But
it wasn't the popular culture of my time. Put it that
but
way.
it's still like
It is of the country, obviously.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm not defending my
there's the field.
ignorance.
Have you seen the field?
Yes.
You know the Bull McCabe? Do you? Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Well, this is of a similar standing. Maybe because you're a culture, you don't get it. Okay, I get it now.
I know, I understand.
No, it's fine. No, it's all.
We've done pieces
Oh,
of-
look, it's the city. I don't
When-
understand it.
When
Oh,
Jack-
they have traffic lights. Oh, Jesus, this is alien to me. Sorry, the biggest story of the day, undoubtedly, though, is Old Trafford shocker. Stay here, Bruno's. Not top of the morning to you. United skipper won't commit. This is Bruno Fernandes, who's done an interview in Portuguese where he says, you want to feel loved. If you want me to be very honest, if you have to think about not continuing, sorry, I have to think about not continuing. And so he's talking about after the Euros.
I won't lie, I read the quotes and I feel like the headline goes a bit farther than the quotes that he actually said.
In the Premier League, it won't be until after the Euros. I think that's as far as a player goes to issue a come and get me plea. Everton takeover faces fresh doubt after collapse of 777 company. So 777 is this company that is buying Mashiri's 83% or 93% of Everton, but they had a budget airline in Australia called
7-7 now.
Bonza.
Bonds, of course.
Bonza, mate. And it went bust. Irish company Teneo were advising them and apparently have stopped advising them because they hadn't been paid by 777 on one aspect of it. And then their finance arm is also trying to restructure the loans as it stands at the moment. So it's a bit of a shit show at Everton. And even though Sean Dyche has done the best job of his entire career, that maybe it's next season that they'll start with the 9 points deduction, or maybe they do it now and they get relegated anyway. Byrne, a reassuring presence as the stakes rise for Leinster, is the front of the Irish Times this morning. They're not sensationalising the quote that everybody else is sensationalising, which is I'm sorry, I don't have it there. Basically him saying Raj can say what he wants. O'Gara can say what he wants. Byrne. It's on the back of the Irish Independent. Ross Byrne has refused to be drawn into a war of words with Ronan O'Gara in his Examiner column. O'Gara said, in the lead up to the Leinster game, I focused a lot of strategy around Ross Byrne and how we could derail Leinster through him. On the day, the Leinster out half was excellent. Everything he touched turned to gold. That said, I would still go back with the same plan if we were going at Leinster this weekend. But credit to Ross Byrne, he's much better with the ball than I gave him credit for. Ross Byrne's like, I didn't see it, didn't read it. I'll ask Jan Tracy about this a little bit later on, but presumably he does see it. Someone helpfully, did you see what Raj said? Brings it up to him.
Might be nice for motivation, all right, but I'd assume someone like Ross Byrne is like, I'm at number 10, so people are going to be talking about how to target me and how to stop me in every single pre-match meeting ever.
I don't read too much into the media. I'd say most teams each week would probably speak about the opposition 10, so I wouldn't say it's anything too new. It's like you're advising him there.
Yeah, I don't want to dampen any sort of excitement around some good Ross Byrne copy, but 10's going to get 10 treatment.
Yeah. Harry Spotter, because he scored from the penalty spot. I'm just explaining the tabloid headlines to you this morning. I realise it's a very difficult job. But
Now that's pop culture.
Boxing rivals take broad swipes. Amy Broadhurst waded into an Olympic storm just one day after her switch of allegiance from Ireland to Britain was confirmed. The 27-year-old made the decision after being snubbed for selection by Irish officials for the final stages of the build-up to Paris. So, what a sad day for us English girls who graph for years for our spot, says disgruntled British rival Sonia Whitwell. She's not happy about the fact that Broadhurst is coming over here and taking our jobs.
I actually screenshotted these last night, but the English is capitalised as well in the story.
Well, there you go.
Well, said day for us English. I
Yeah.
would read it as.
Amy Broadhurst's dad was English, I think. So
Yeah.
That's she can qualify through that. So now I've decided I'm actually in favour of Amy Broadhurst going and fighting for England. I'm like, happy days, you go for it. 10 fights last year, but I'm the inactive one, says Jimma Richardson. 3 fights, 3 days last week. And it's always been my dream to compete at the Olympic Games. I'm very happy that I've been selected by GB Boxing to go to the final qualifying event in Thailand in May. So, in fairness, all of a sudden people are going to be watching these qualifiers in a way that they weren't before.
Definitely.
How do our fans feel about an Irish boxer coming up through the Irish system, fighting for Team GB?
I think everybody's very aware of the backlog that exists in the boxing setup because there just aren't enough weight classes. And I think there'll be people who'll be pissed off if she has success over an Irish boxer. But I think there'll be a lot of people quite understanding of her position as well.
So long as she doesn't beat Kelly Harrington in the
Correct.
Olympics.
Scumbag fans is the back page headline of the Mail this morning, which is Man United supporters turning up in wheelchairs to gain access to matches. Liam Morgan is the name on this story. Scumbag Manchester United fans have been posing as disabled supporters to get into away games this season. United confirmed yesterday they had received multiple allegations, including of non-disabled fans turning up in wheelchairs to matches and using tickets allocated to disabled supporters. The scam has forced the club to take action in the bid to prevent any repeat of future games. There's one other quick story that I just want to get to here. It's on the back of the Mail there. Croker history lesson gives Northampton goosebumps. That's the Mail. And they're saying that they have been given history lessons, including its national symbolism as the site of the 1920 Bloody Sunday massacre that took place during the War of Independence. That's how the Mail is talking about. It's the Irish Mail. The Telegraph has this story, which is actually where it originates, and it's been taken from there by other newspapers, including the Irish Independent. And so the stadium, this is the Telegraph in England, a Tory newspaper. The stadium is the headquarters of the Gaelic Athletic Association, but was also the site of a Bloody Sunday massacre in 1920. A Bloody Sunday massacre, right. Croke Park's Hogan stand was named in honour of the 13 spectators and Tipperary player Michael Hogan, who were fatally shot by the Royal Irish Constabulary on November 21st, 1920. You're a Telegraph reader, reading the paper, and you're like, the Irish killing each other, 1920. Sure, look, what's it got to do with us? It's like, and look, it's obviously factually correct.
Do you think that...
No sense of it being like ordered by the British forces or the Crown or any of that. It's like...
You would think that the word royal would be a bit of a giveaway, but maybe they just think that there's like an Irish king and an Irish queen.
The Royal Dublin Society, the RDS.
Home to Leinster Rugby.
Hey. Oh, you've been storing that one up for weeks and weeks and weeks. The copy is lifted directly in the Indo as well. It's there's no look. It's what it is. The Telegraph's just spitting facts.
Yeah. What do you expect the Telegraph to do? To be like, they were mowed down by us?
Are we the baddies? I do not expect any self-reflection from the Telegraph.
No.
I actually wouldn't be all that surprised if they did just fully admit it. And
Where we
go
carried
behind
out and what of it? What's it to you?
Remember there was a piece in the Telegraph a couple of weeks back when I was flicking to get the sports pages, and they asked all their writers to decide which member of the army they would be. And all of them were like, I think I'd be a chef. I think I'd be good in operations. And not one of them was like, yes, I would like to go to the Middle East and actually commit myself.
Front line.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Right. Anything else? The draw?
The draw, yeah.
How do you feel?
Good. When this is probably like a statement of how sad I am as an individual, but one of the first things I did when I saw the draw yesterday was I kind of went through all the weekends and looked at the schedules.
Yeah.
Like we can do this later on in the power rankings whenever Graham comes on with it, which shouldn't take too long. I really like this format. I wasn't around for a lot of this last year. I kind of got the sense watching from afar that maybe the fact that only 3 progressed from every group was a stick used to beat this format with quite a lot, and maybe come the end of it, people have come around to it. I think it's just packed with really good fixtures. Every single weekend is packed with really good fixtures. I see Declan Lee is writing in the Irish Independent today about Gaelic games going up against other sports and how the window for promotion is smaller, and the GAA really need to be on top of their game in terms of getting that promotion done successfully. And if we look at this in a purely football standpoint, that this is doubly the case. So these fixtures kick off on May 18th 19th is the first round. The Gaelic football fixtures that weekend: Galway or Mayo against Derry, Galway or Mayo against Cavan, Clare against Cork, Kerry against Monaghan. 4 really good fixtures, I'd say, high quality fixtures, or at least close fixtures, like Clare Cork, for example. Who's going to get out of that group?
That's Killarney. So Kerry will be...
Yeah, exactly. But then on that weekend as well, in the hurling, you've got Dublin against Kilkenny, Tip against Cork, Clare versus Waterford, and then in other sports, you've got the final day, the Premier League. Bumper weekend of sport. We saw the situation last week where you had 4 really good games all on at the same time at 2 o'clock last Sunday. I just fear that that's going to be something similar that happens unless they plan this weekend a little bit better. The following weekend is Dublin against Roscommon, Donegal or Armagh against Tyrone, Louth against Meath. Again, 3 more fairly interesting fixtures there. This goes up against an even bigger weekend of hurling. It's Kilkenny against Wexford, Galway against Dublin, Limerick against Waterford, and Tip versus Clare. That's the final round of the round robin provincial hurling championships. You've also got the Champions Cup final on Saturday at 2:45.
And then
a bumper weekend of sport with 4 good quality Gaelic
the
football
FA Cup
fixtures.
final on the same day.
Same day,
Same
that's
time.
right.
Yeah.
The bank holiday weekend then, which is another slate of very good fixtures. You got Derry against Donegal or Armagh, Roscommon against Galway or Mayo, Dublin going to Cavan should be relatively interesting, and Cork versus Donegal or Armagh. That's Champions League final weekend. Bumper weekend of sport. Where does Gaelic football sit in all of this? And then finally, on June 15-16, you've got Galway or Mayo against Donegal or Armagh, Dublin versus Galway or Mayo.
And sorry, everybody was like, oh, there's no jeopardy because all the teams are going through. But we do now know that playing 3 weeks in a row is a bit of a disaster for your chances.
It is, yeah. And like I think that's why the draw is actually significant yesterday. I think Kerry have got the best draw of anyone possible, and they've been given a leg up because we know that they're going to win at the weekend. We know that they're going to be Munster champions, and Dublin have actually got a little bit unlucky there. They could have got the Kerry draw, but we know anyway that they've been favoured hugely by the fact that they're such raging hot favourites to win their provinces. So you've got those 2 fixtures. You've also got Roscommon against Cavan and Tyrone against Cork, which happens to be the same weekend that Euro 2024 starts and the URC semi-finals start. A bumper weekend of sport. Every single one of these Gaelic football fixtures in this round robin All-Ireland series is on a bumper weekend of sport, and the GAA just need to be at the top of their game to ensure that this actually gets the visibility it deserves, because last weekend they failed in that regard, I think.
Yeah.